Hello, my name is Larry Warshauer. I'm an investor in a hedge fund that had started in 2025 and closed, unfortunately, in January of 2026, named Titan Asset Management Fund, which was controlled and managed by a man named Jamaal Ghuari, a young 20-year-old something person who claimed he had 6 years of personal trading experience where he's making 61% returns a year, and now he wants to open up a brand new hedge fund and go public with it. And his initial investment was $50,000 to $100,000 you could invest, and you had a 1-year lockup. You couldn't get your money out for a whole year unless you get a 10% penalty. He never told you about that initially, but that's what he says was in the fine print. Also in the fine print, where he never told you about it, was the startup fund fee. You had to pay for all commissions. You had to pay for the development fee and the managerial fee, which ended up being thousands of dollars a month he was going to keep. Regardless of whether or not the fund made money, he was going to keep his fee, along with his partner, Alex Sharp. Now, why do I mention this? Because that fund, Titan Asset Management Fund, which is headed by Jamaal Ghuari, never made any money. They started trading in May, but from May to June 30th, they actually lost $10,000 a year. $10,000. They lost $10,000 that period. And the report he created said that he was up 8%, but he wasn't. He had lost $10,000. But the report they created said they were up 8%. So you got the impression you were up, but actually when you saw your balance of your actual account, I was actually lost 14% of my money. I lost $7,000 in 3 weeks. But then you talk to them and they explain, well, some of it was due to fees. Some of it was due to trading going up and down. I said, all right, well, I want my money out because I already lost $7,000. They didn't want to give it out because they said, well, you have to pay us another 10% penalty because you didn't let us hold it for a year. So I said, all right, let's see what happens the next quarter. So then by the next quarter, they said they broke even. It was a little bit better than break even. But in reality, their trading was, they didn't tell you this, they lost $1.6 million and they incurred commissions of over $112,000. So they're telling you they broke even, but in reality, they lost $1,616,807. Then when you say to them, well, how's the fund doing? They told me that they had a bad month in October, and actually from October 1st to November 7th, Jamaal in his trading lost an additional $857,000 and incurred an additional $99,000 and $439 in commissions. That was hard to hide because he's showing me now the interactive brokers reports and he's showing me all these tremendous losses. But none of his official reports on his website said that he was ever losing all this money, but he was. The data room gave you still the impression that he's an amazing trader, but actually he was losing all your money. But by the 31st of December, when they created their fourth quarterly report, then there was no hiding the reality. The reality was the fourth quarter report, December 31st, said that he had lost 91% of the money in just a quarter, in just the last quarter, and he's closing out the fund. And do you want to get the remaining balance back? Now, at that point in time, my remaining balance, I had lost 94% of my money in just 7 months, trusting Jamaal Ghuari and his hedge fund, Titan Asset Management Fund. No apologies, no explanations of how this all happened. Just, do you want your $2,000 and $655 of your $50,000 investment back? We'll be happy to give it to you, and we will waive the 10% penalty fee because we didn't hold the account for a year. because the fund went broke after 7 months, he's doing you a big favor by giving you back your $2,655 of your $50,000 investment. And I'm not the only one this happened to. Everybody in that fund lost 90% of their money within 7 months. No explanation. The data room was never updated. The reports he created were not indicative of the reality of the trading, and people just tremendously lost money trusting Jamaal Ghuari. Now, why am I making that statement? Because Jamaal Ghuari, in December of 2025, opened up the brand new fund, which he calls Joint Growth Partners. And in this fund, he says the same advertisement, but there's a big disclaimer. There's a big disclaimer on the top page before you even get into the website. I'm going to read it, so bear with me if I don't look at you now. I'm going to read this. It says, this website is for informational purposes only and does not constitute an offer of a sell, solicitation, or an offer to buy, or a recommendation for any security. Private investments are speculative, illiquid, and involve high degree of risk, including the possible loss of the entire investment. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Now, why would he put that as the very first thing before you even look at the website? It's not in the fine print, it's the top page. Because the fund that he created just 7 months ago actually did lose for the investors 91% of their money. And he now wants to make up this new page that says, hey, look, if you get involved with this new fund of ours called, what's it called now? It's called Joint Growth Partners. We warned you, you could lose all of your money, because historically, that's what's happened when you invested in his previous fund, which just closed 2 months ago in December, January, and where everyone lost 91% of the money. Instead of saying, hey, I better stop doing this for a living, no, he created a brand new fund. Now, this new fund, Joint Growth Partners, has a minimum investment of $250,000. The old one had a minimum investment of only $100,000. Now, and he was doing you a favor if he let you get in at 50, right? But now he's upped it. Now he's upped the ante. Now you have to have a minimum investment of $250,000, right? And he's upped the ante. Now there's a holding period of 18 months, not 12 months. So he's going to play with your money for 18 months, and you might lose all your money, but he's warned you, and you have no control over anything he's doing. Plus, you can no longer know anymore, given his history, whether these returns are real. In his first report in Titan Asset Management Fund, he indicated that the fund had gone up 13% in 2 months, and because I only get, as a member of the hedge fund, 70% of that, my account was up 8%. Reality was, when you actually check the balance of my account, I had lost 14% and $7,000. By the time October 1st came around, I had lost 58% and $28,000. By the time December 31st rolled around, I'd lost 94% and $47,000. But his reports don't indicate that, and he just tells you, hey, look, we're closing the fund, and do you want the balance in your account? And I said, well, what's the balance in my account? And he explains, oh, it's $2,655. Do you want it? Yes, I said, yeah, give it back to me. But he didn't explain through this whole time that he was losing money. You never knew the entire time that you invested with him that he was losing all this money. Because the first report, which was done on June 30th, said he was up 8%. The second report said he broke even. But the third report on December 31st, that's when he comes clean. Hey, we've lost all the money. We're closing the fund. So that's what you're dealing with Jamaal Ghuari. Now, Jamaal Ghuari has partners now in this new fund. Now, I'm assuming these people know about Jamaal Ghuari. So I'm assuming they're aware of who they're dealing with when they joined up with this company. The names of these people now in the new hedge fund are, of Joint Growth Partners, is Sagar Doga, Brendan Jones, David Edmonds, Jacob Ryan. Those are the team that Jamaal has established under his executive leadership to operate the new Joint Growth Partners hedge fund. So I'm making you aware of my experience in dealing with Jamaal Ghuari as a manager of a hedge fund. That's all I'm doing, making you aware, and you can come to your own conclusion whether you think it's a good idea to invest in a company that's telling you they have already in joint growth partners. It says they've already had 14% in 1 month. Well, that's the exact same kind of thing they said in Titan Asset Management Fund. Titan Asset Management Fund, they said they were up 13% in 2 months. This new one, oh, he's even done better. Now he's done 14% in 1 month. I would be very cautious of being aware of what actually has happened. Because historically, Jamaal, in operating Titan Growth Management, lost basically everyone's money. 94% of my money I lost in 7 months. So I'm asking the public to be aware that they should have very due diligence in getting involved with any company involved with joint growth partners, Titan Asset Management Fund, which is now closed. The website's still up there, by the way. You can see the website. Go to www.titanassetmanagement.fund. You'll see the website up there. It doesn't mention, by the way, that we're closed and we've lost everyone's money. That doesn't mention that. But anyway, so be aware now who you're dealing with in this new company called Joint Growth Partners, headed by Jamaal Ghuari, with this team now of Sagar Doga, Brendan Jones, David Edmonds, and Jacob Ryan. Be careful, because I know from my past real experience dealing with Jamaal and his opening up of a hedge fund, myself and all the other investors, I've been in touch with other investors too, they've lost 90% of their money with no explanation of how this possibly could have happened, because the reports he indicated never showed you that he was losing all this money. He was giving you these glowing reports, how he's such a smart kid. Well, he lost everyone's money. Thank you very much.